G2's potential is being realised. Now, it's not quite maxed out yet, but at least so far at Blast Open London, we've seen a little bit of the potential in terms of what it could be. They have not quite maxed out in every single department, but they are at least flashes of what we thought could be possible after we saw those summer break moves. Obviously, at that point, we'd heard for a long time the Saw and some Pious rumour, but then on top of that, when Matisse gets added to the fray, we are mind blown, like just fantasizing about what this team could do at their peak. They already had Heavy God, they were rolling with Mabs MD after a while, and then he had a bit of a rough patch, but you know, we'd seen things from it. We'd seen things from him back as far as Team 1, if we were paying real attention. We'd seen things on M80 that really put us on alert. And then that G2 stint initially, where he's just wrecking house on T-sides with just this hyper-aggressive, no shits given sort of style. It was fascinating. It was brilliant. It was brutal. He did take a bit of a dip this year, and I thought some of it might have been his own, not necessarily, not ego, nothing like that, but more the added pressure of having to step up when Nico gets removed in terms of trying to work the map the way Nico did, play the way Nico did, rather than just remembering that he's Malbs MD. Like, he's the lobotomist, he's just going to run out, hit headshots, and that's how he's going to have his impact. We've seen a bit of that also re-emerge now as this team has come together post-summer and start to hit their stride, especially here at Blast. I had a projection when this team came together. This would take a bit of time, a projection, if you will. They'd have a sort of honeymoon Cologne. They'd be threatening there, and they were 7th to 8th, just missing out in playoffs. And then after that, they'd take a bit of a rough stint, you know, just a bit of a dip as they kind of started to mesh things together, figure out the IGLing, the new AWP, all these things that need to really properly bind before you can start playing great CS. Then after that, I thought that's when we're going to see if they truly can be threatening. They can go challenge the likes of Team Spirit, the likes of Vitality, potentially go win events. Blast Open London is a bit ahead of schedule, like it's earlier than I thought they'd actually be sort of reaching this level, but it has been thrilling. Now, we're going to be diving into a demo here. We're going to be watching a little bit of Malbs MD against Spirit on Ancient. This was a, well, embarrassing defeat, really, for the Team Spirit side. They would have expected to have done a lot better in this matchup. They had won map 1, map 2 they only lost in overtime. It was strange to see them utterly capitulate on the third map, but a part of the reason why they did lose was things like this. We've not been able to rely on some pious performance like the one we got in this round very often. Incredible double kill, just walking in, taking those free headshots. We're not used to seeing that level from some pious specifically, but also we're not used to seeing such an effective Malbs MD. And it really showcases how dangerous he is as an individual when he's on his game. But then in this map as well, we got to see moments where we understood that, hell, not just having him on the team, but having him on the team with Matisse and with Heavy God creates one of the most dangerous rifle cores in the entire scene. Malbs MD is quite often going to be the one leading the way out mid on the T side sort of map control plays, whilst Matisse is more towards lane and more towards B. And we saw rounds where Malbs MD was a little more passive, and Matisse was just leading the charge into that B site and ripping heads. So it's a duality of aggressive riflers that really works brilliantly together. Yeah, nice, tidy, easy pistol conversion. As I said, we're going to be focusing on Malbs, but we can obviously discuss the rest of this team because they're all very interesting players. There's been a lot to discuss in terms of Hunter as an IGL. Oh, that's a rough one from our boy. But then we do have that other prong, that other player who can really hit those headshots. Matisse, fantastic on Fnatic here on G2. Oh, wow. Apologies about that. Someone's decided to show off how gigantic their manhood is outside my window. But yeah, the Matisse side of this has been fascinating. Because on Fnatic, he's this really explosive, high headshot percentage guy who can really rip things up when he's given the chance, when he's given a bit of open space to run into, a fair fight to take. He's going to win those over and over again. He's not like Blamev, you know, rafting those sorts of easier fights with lurks, with trades, with positional advantages. No, Matisse was raw, just cracked aim, and that really worked for him super well. It ended up being that he was the higher rated of the players just in buy rounds, like in buy round v buy round situations. Not necessarily rated, but I'd rather just in terms of output in buy rounds. Matisse was the guy. He was the one finding the big kills. He was the one finding the openings. He was really impactful, and it's translating quite well on this team, at least for now. At least in this sort of example that we have in this specific event. The final part of that sort of rifle core that I've talked about as being so dangerous, I think we can honestly prior to the Tanir move, you could make a case that when this team is firing, like they did in this map, when they're just burning through that firepower, they're showing off what they have to offer. They probably had the strongest rifle corps, just theoretically. Matisse, Malbs Heavy God, name a trio of riflers that is actually more effective than that on any team. I mean, Donk does a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of on Spirit, but Donk, Zway, Zontix, I'm sorry, doesn't hit the same. Ceiling-wise especially, like Donk, sure, is like Malbs plus 30%, but then we do have next to him Matisse. We then have next to him Heavy God. These are phenomenal riflers, all three of them. And combined probably had the highest firepower ceiling, in theory, available to anyone, really, in Tier 1 CS right now. There are question marks, of course, about this performance, just in terms of specifically the maps against Spirit, but also this event that's online. We've seen that sometimes teams who are not always doing too well, having those creature comforts of being at home, being a bit more relaxed, less stressed, opens up the comms, allows things to flow a bit more. That could be a bonus for them. I think we saw, if we compare this season, just the numbers between online play and LAN play. When they've been online, everyone's above a 1.0. When they're on LAN, everyone's, well, not everyone's struggling, but everyone's takes a little bit of a hit, and all of a sudden they're not so impressive. So, could be a factor. Also, another factor is this Spirit roster's basically dead. We've had that borderline confirmed to us that the Zontix is being cut. He's either not pracking with the team at all, or just not particularly hard, you know, briefly pracking just to get things lined up for an event like this one. But they're not actually taking it overly seriously. It's a good chance that's the case. They are preparing with Tanir. They're going to be playing with Tanir after Blast London. It's a bit of an awkward time for them. And it's probably the best time to be facing them this season. There are a few rounds as well that do look odd from Team Spirit. There's a number of run boosts they try and mid, which is a bit gimmicky, a bit memey, a bit strange, all things considered. Just not things I'm used to seeing from them. And the execution, round by round, is just poor. So that's just not the Spirit we know. That's not the Spirit we're expecting. So it probably is a slight factor in why G2 were able to crush them on this map. Trade's on the on-site. Yeah, a missed shot from Shiro. He comes pushing through the smoke and then jumps out to his death. A 2v2, Malbs Heavy God. Pretty potent pair. There's Heavy God tapping away at Donk. Donk had an absolute nightmare in this game. Got taken down by everyone a few times, but especially some Pious getting the better of him. This double swing was brilliant. As soon as they got the info, count it down, and we go. Lovely play. Just clean and proper in the post-plant. But as I was saying, yeah, Donk had a nightmare, but on a few occasions you'll see he does get the chance to take a fair duel, like where he's not flashed, where there's nothing in the way. He's just raw aim v raw aim. Nothing else. And he hits so quickly. Like, the player who's trying to peek him is dead in a millisecond. That's the power of Donk. That's how potent he can be. In this game, G2 do a decent job of neutralizing that. Picks from some Pious on the AWP. A lot of, like, util battles won in mid. These are the sorts of things you have to do to beat a player like Donk. You know, catch him out, catch him with his pants down. And they did it brilliantly. Here we see Malbs on more of a lurk, whilst the entry pack sort of goes out towards B. He's going to catch a little bit of a flank here. That's a freebie. And then Zontix and Zway at 2v4. I mean, this was a bit of a half by anyway. This is not the big, most important round. Not in terms of judging the success of either team's play, but yeah, Malbs is going to be left with another opportunity for a cheeky kill here. Zontix just too slow to peek this. I think they're expecting the player to sit top mid. Does get the trade, but it's of little consequence. This round is well and truly over. Something that's going to be critical for this team going forward is Saw being able to get the most out of Hunter. Hunter's a player who we've seen in the past just play intelligent high-level CS. Yeah, you see that nade? That nade. Just watch where Zontix is when he dies. He's going for a run boost. He's going for a run boost. And then flashbangs on flashbangs on flashbangs. Donk goes down. Again, if we look at Donk's POV, he's trying to dodge flashes. He's kind of half blind. Not in a very smart position either. His teammate got naded to death. He's on low HP, and he chooses to go forward on 28 health, try and make a bit of a gimmick work. Does get punished. Malbs with that kill, traded back. Zway And Chopper left alive again. Hunter takes them down. Like, this is some life game stuff out of G2. And it would have to beat a team like Spirit 13-1 on a map which is fairly comfortable for Spirit. They play it quite well. There's no reason to believe this would be a walk in the park. But that's what it looked like. Now, when they get to the LAN portion of this event, they are going to be playing against FaZe. I'm not sure how that's going to go. Both of these teams are in a strange spot. FaZe have Jacob coming in, and he's looked You know, he's had some okay series, had some dreadful series. So it's up in the air how he's going to play in the matchup specifically. Plus, the other problem we have, straight through the smoke, is that the map pool for G2 isn't very settled. It isn't very convincing. I'm not sure what they're going to play well into who. Like, there's no real rhyme or reason to say they could pick this map and win it. You know, if it gets to a decider of this, their favour. Realistically, they can play a number of maps fairly well. I mean, against Spirit, they picked Dust 2 and won it, but they won in OT. It's not convincing. They've played Ancient fairly well. You know, they have the players to play Ancient, that's for sure. But there's no real settled map pool for G2 that we can guarantee. Yeah, they picked Ancient into Mouse. I was thinking they did. And they had a one-round T-half. So you see, it's still very much in flux as to what they can and can't do. Donk trying to get some exit kills. There we go, that's the final trade we needed. And so I'm a bit worried about that matchup. Karrigan is the superior IGL. He's played with his team for longer. Plus, he has right now probably the best late-game player. Best late-game rifler just in the scene, in Frozen. Frozen's been magnificent all year. It's been a much better year than last year, for example, for Frozen himself. And in last year, he was 10th in the world, according to HLTV. But this season as well, he's taken a step up. Over the course of the last 3 months, he's 125 rated, 1.31 on the CT side, 119 on the T side. A lot of it trading and clutching, but that's part of the beauty. See, pretty fair fight. Heads up, Donk takes out Malbs in a flash. Like, that's almost instant. So that's when we switch over to the other POV that matters. Matties. He has been really impactful for this team. That's just that second entry player. Lovely, lovely kills. Just a well-run pop as well to get through that smoke. Some Pius with a nice and easy kill onto Shiro. And yeah, this is a one round that comes from a loss. Like, realistically, Donk gets the opening in mid, Malbs goes down. You're not favoured to win that round. You really aren't. That's a Spirit round 9 times out of 10, historically. But then you get your second monstrous entry going through those smokes, running at that defense. And yeah, that's the impact you can expect. Some Pius detaches Zontic's way, now left in 1v2. Hunter takes him down. No real chance of making that happen. But back to the Frozen point. Yeah, Frozen, his round swings plus 2.5%. That's pretty great. 18% multi-kills. It's just so impactful. 0.05 clutches per round, or clutch points per round, rather. Again, very impressive just in the raw numbers. The firepower is great. And then when you watch him play, it's just really clean, really simple stuff. It's nothing too flashy. You're not seeing Frozen go for stupidly bold plays. That's never been his style. He's always been a little more reserved and a little more calm. Like, Frozen and Rops on the same team was a problem because neither one wanted to be the one throwing themselves out there. Neither one wanted to be the one who has to push the pace. And so, Frozen now this year, oh my god, get destroyed, Zontix, while still not being that front foot player, with a Liege being more aggressive than Rops ever was, it really opened the door for him to thrive in his roles. And even post Liege, Jacob is aggressive. We still see Frozen absolutely dominating. The team could do with more success on the aggressive front. That's been the FaZe problem for a while. If they could have got a Matties, if they could have got a Malbs MD in, hell, not necessarily in for Elige. I mean, we do know there's more to the Elige trade than just, or the Elige removal rather, than just on the server problems. There's a good chance that we've got some vibes issues, which are always an issue. You know, vibes are surprisingly important in Counter-Strike. You know, as much as it is a game about shooting people and tactics, just getting along, having that chemistry matters. But still, keeping a Legion, getting someone who's just hyper-aggressive but hyper-successful, maybe in that range spot, or even now post-Elige, trying to get an entry who is hyper-aggressive, hyper-successful, would be very helpful. Just to continue getting more out that front, as well as having a great closer in Frozen. Flashbangs to get themselves through the smokes. A flashbang select to the left, so that they can go against the wall, turn away, and be guaranteed to live through that. This is the huge round that Spirit win off the back of a Zontix miracle. Like, where's this Zontix been? Crazy triple kill. We don't see that kind of rifling from him very often, especially not with the amount of headshots he just landed. But that's the one time something went wrong, and it's just a bit of a hero play out of Zontix. Heavy God's going to trade one back. He's still very sharp. But he's got too much to do. This is a 1v5. Unrealistic to expect a tier 1 team to drop one of these in this sort of situation. You know, you need the bomb down. You need some awkward positioning. You need something unexpected to make it work. When the other side knows where you are, you're just screwed. But yeah, Heavy God is the player I haven't really talked about. He is essentially this team's kind of, I guess you could call him this team's Queserato, or this team's Frozen, this team's closer. He's not very active in a lot of his roles, as in he's not going to be pushing things, he's not going to be leading the pack on the entries. Yeah, he's not going to be trying what Zontix just tried there, which also Zontix normally wouldn't either. Normally Zontix would not be going for that. This is why this demo is a bit problematic, because this is just not how these guys play very often. Clearly having a bit of fun with it, down 9-1. Mabs would deal with a delicious double kill. Like, the aim is fantastic. It's just, when do we usually see this? Yeah, Heavy God this year, the numbers aren't that insane. Well, actually, this season they're not that insane. This year they're pretty crazy. Like a 114 on average. And a lot of it on the T side as well. Trading and closing. When other players don't land their shots, he certainly does. That's what makes him so impactful. Here, Matisse and Hunter in a 2v3. This should have been a winnable round off the back of the Shiro and Chopper impact. But Matisse able to cause a bit of a distraction, a bit of a problem, and then Hunter just spamming away through the smokes does win it out. Good post-plant positioning out of those two, and then also getting a bit of luck finding the smoke spam so quickly for Hunter. But yeah, this Heavy God season has been not as insane, but his year overall. It's just, you know, multi-kills out of tough positions, late-round positions, getting the trades, and actually just outputting damage consistently, despite not always having the prettiest rolls for it. Speaking of pretty, Mabs punishing Shiro on his ridiculous jump. Does get traded by Donk, that's what I'm talking about, the fair fight. He can absolutely rip your head off. Thankfully, not a lot of those fair fights were taken. Matisse on the trades. Bang! There's your second entry. This is why I refute, just on the basis of absurdity, anyone who says you can't have multiple aggressive rifles on a team who are actually good at being aggressive riflers. Of course you can. Look at these guys play. You don't need a bot entry and an actual god player. You just need good players playing their roles with confidence. And that's what Matisse and Malves have been doing. Some pious. Lovely. Into our classic ESL, well, big event, 3-minute halftime. Got to get those adverts in. We skip forward. Back into the pistol. We are a bit ahead of time, but nothing has happened to this point. Oh wait, no. Sunpire's already got a kill. Good job, Sunpire's. Very proud of you. This is the big flank with Malbs on the dualies. Hero dualies. He's got the armor with them. Trying to make something happen. Trying to land some of those tip-taps. Just about squeeze it over the line. Even when the dualies work, they look ugly. That's always been my problem with them. It's just aesthetically unpleasing weapons. Oh, this round's actually pretty dope. Let's switch POVs. Matisse on the USP. 1 headshot, 2 headshots. And then Heavy God. Boom, there's the third. So sharp. They won, I think, literally every single pistol round in this series. And when you do that, you better win the series. You had better win the series. If you win every pistol round, you look like such frauds if you can't win. And to be honest, after 2 maps, that's what I was feeling. You know, I'm just like, man, you've won every pistol? And it's 1-1, you needed overtime, bro? Hunter, get your boys in shape. get them in better position. I don't know what's going on with you, but that's subpar. Yeah, Tech9's to try and claw the game back from 12-1 down. Obviously not going to happen. That's just so dire, so desperate. Everyone's just stuck in lane, about to get crunched in on. Spirit clearly not that invested in winning this game. Dualies to close. Honestly, such a flex. So harsh. But yeah, that's sort of the POV. Just an opportunity to talk about this G2 side. And I've talked about the FaZe matchup as something that's going to be quite difficult, something they don't really have a clear pick to go into. I think they should try to pick Ancient into FaZe, just because I feel like they have the personnel for playing that map. And I do think Dust2 is an option. But it's not clear. It's not clear how they're going to get the 2 maps they need to beat this FaZe Clan roster. But that being said, the door's open. FaZe have not looked spectacular. Sure, we've had a decent run out of Brokey and Frozen. Brokey's had some absolute pop-offs. But that's pop-offs. We're talking about G2 also having their pop-offs. So it might just be about who has the players playing their best CS. And in terms of having players who can hit crazy ceilings, G2 are definitely up there. They are some of the most lethal fraggers in terms of just peaks. It's about getting them in the right positions, taking the right fights. That's going to be the complex part. But Karrigan's not had that great a year calling either. The door is still open. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. Leave a like, leave a comment, sub for more. Remember that members get access to bonus content and the right to vote. It's pretty special. But yeah, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.